Is your store stuck in the Google Sandbox? Let's find out. Hi fellow ecom nerds, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Andrew, and on this channel we show you the best strategies, tips and tactics to grow your e-commerce store. Okay, before we kick on with today's video, I need to ask you a massive favor. Please hit the subscribe button, pulverize that like button into the dirt, and also tap the bell notification so the next time we drop one of these videos, you'll be the first to know. So let me know if this has ever happened to you. You spent countless hours setting up your Shopify store, buying the right domain, selecting the perfect theme, setting everything up. Maybe you spent more ridiculous hours doing lots of product research. If you're in the print on demand category, maybe you've outlaid some cash for some sweet designs. And so you're super excited. So you hit the go button and you wait. You wait a day, you wait a week, you wait a month, and nothing, just crickets.
And the cricket boo.
If you've experienced this before, your store could be stuck in what's known as the Google Sandbox. So what is the Google Sandbox? Well, we'll get to that in just a second. The real mystery is that a lot of SEOs debate whether the sandbox exists at all. So what is the Google Sandbox? Well, to break it down, supposedly it's a probationary period that Google puts your website or store in to make sure you're going to adhere to Google's quality guidelines. So this supposed probationary period is different for everyone and can last between 3 to 6 months. Some SEOs don't believe in this thing at all, and they think that the whole concept of a Google Sandbox is a big pile of steaming dog shit. These sandbox skeptics seem to think your website needs to meet a certain amount of criteria before the algorithm will start to rank it for particular keywords. So hint, hint, the keywords that you're trying to rank for will have a massive impact on how quickly your content gets indexed and also shows up on Google. So Google has denied that the sandbox exists in the first place, but being Google, would they even tell you if it was really there? So John Mueller, the webmaster trends analyst at Google, had this to say in a Reddit AMA. We have a number of algorithms that might look similar, but these are essentially just algorithms trying to understand how the website fits in with the rest of the websites trying to rank for those queries. It's always kind of tricky in the beginning when we have a new website and we don't quite know where we should put it. So the legendary ex-head of web spam, Matt Cutts, said this: "My answer is not to worry that much. The difference between a domain that's 6 months old versus 1 year old is really not that big at all. So as long as you've been around for at least a couple of months, a few months, you should be able to make sure that you are able to show up in the search results." So if you want to open up your own case on the Google Sandbox, I've left a whole bunch of resources in the description below so you can do your own investigation. Whether the sandbox exists or not, how do you start getting traffic to your website pretty much from day one? Well, it's not easy, but here's a few tips and tactics that I think will work to at least start getting people onto your website and letting Google know that people are there and they're starting to enjoy your content. So here's a few things that I recommend. The first one is build your audience first. A lot of people kind of do this the other way around. They'll actually go in and they'll start their website and then start to build their audience. I think you should be doing this before you even launch your website, because especially if you're in print on demand, you could launch something like an Instagram page or a Pinterest page, and this can also act as your MVP, so your minimal viable product. So you can have your designs on there and start to get feedback before you've actually invested your time and money into a Shopify store. The other big thing is you should be building your email list from day one, because once you have your email list and then you launch a store, it's as easy as saying, hey, I've opened up my store, sending out a whole bunch of emails to everyone that's on the list and getting them to come to your website. So it's much easier to do it that way than having to launch a store and then get emails. So like I said, build your audience first, create a platform. So like I said, it could be Instagram, it could be Pinterest, doesn't really matter. And then start to build your email list, because your email list is super important. And like they always say, the money is in the list. So take me, for instance, I'm trying to build some Shopify apps. And before I start to build them and then like trying to build an audience, I'm kind of doing it the other way around. So you beautiful people on the other end of this camera could be my potential audience for my Shopify apps if you're using Shopify. So I'm trying to build my audience first, because it makes it so much easier. When I have my apps ready, I can just launch it out. And not only that, if you're following me on YouTube or whatever other channel I might be building, then I can also ask you for feedback as I build these things to make sure that what I'm building is actually going to be useful to you. So this is getting feedback or starting a feedback loop And having a platform before you start a Shopify store could be super important, or it doesn't matter what kind of store you're starting or what product you're starting, getting that feedback loop is super, super important to your product development. And also, like I said, when it comes time to launch, you've got a ready-made crowd ready to distribute to when you are ready to launch. So the second piece of advice I've got for you is don't bite off more than you can chew when it comes to keyword research. Try to find keywords that are more long tail or have a lower keyword difficulty score. Now, if you're using something like KW Finder, which is what I use to do keyword research, you can find the KD score or keyword difficulty score in one of the columns. And what you want to do is try and find something that's probably under maybe 30 or 40, which would be quite easy or easier to rank for. Rank for these before you try and rank for terms like blue shoes or best dolphin t-shirt. So tip number 3 that I've got for you is don't get too hacky. So what do I mean by this? Don't get too tricky. Don't try and implement these tricks that these so-called growth hackers try and teach you, or gurus. Don't get too aggressive, because if you do all these things, it could set off some signals for Google, and before you know it, you could be getting a manual penalty. So most of these growth hackers are full of shit, and the term growth hacker itself actually makes me want to throw up in my mouth. So if you don't want to get a manual penalty, slow down, champ. Don't get too aggressive. Don't do all this tricky black hat bullshit that these gurus try and teach you. Just do the right thing, give Google what it wants at the beginning, and take it easy, take it slow. Don't try and do something out of the ordinary, because this could set off alarm bells and wake up the sleeping giant that is Google, who might get up and actually step on your website. So behave yourself and focus on creating awesome content and writing amazing product descriptions, which coincidentally leads me on to the next piece of advice. Make sure you are writing helpful or insightful, nay, even entertaining content. Now, your keyword research will go a long way in terms of finding the right pools of keywords to rank for, but you also need to spend enough time working out what kind of content you want to add to your site. Now, this content should always be, in my opinion, something that adds value to somebody, something we call utility content. And if you want to throw in a little bit of creative flair and make it entertaining, then more power to you, because I think that definitely plays well when you mix those two things together. So my advice is don't get bogged down in the technicality of it all too much, but make sure your content is, one, entertaining. That's kind of important, but even more important than that, that it actually serves a purpose and will help somebody in their day-to-day life. So what we call utility content, as I mentioned before. It should be informative, and they should be able to, after reading your piece of content, even go away and action what they've read. So if they can do that, then you know you're on the right track. Just remember, content marketing is content first and marketing second. Okay, another tip for making sure you stay out of the sandbox, if it exists, but making sure, even more importantly, that you're getting ranked and you're getting traffic to your website. And that is, make sure that your website is fast. Speed is one of the big signals to Google to help you get ranked. So I would say make sure when you're selecting a Shopify theme that it's not bogged down with a whole bunch of JavaScript that's making it load slowly. Make sure you pick a theme that's fast, and that will definitely help you in the long run, and you'll be rewarded by Google. Another way to get some instant traffic to your website is to run some competitions. Now, I've mentioned competitions before in a few other videos, and my favorite go-to app for this is Gleam.io. You can install Gleam onto your Shopify website. They play very nicely together. Gleam has a referral kind of system that starts this whole virality loop going. Not only does it help your Shopify store get traffic, but it will help you build your audience that we mentioned before. So if you've got a channel like on YouTube, or if you've got an Instagram account, or perhaps a Facebook page, you can also use Gleam.io to grow these as well. So they'll get points for every time they either follow you or subscribe to your channel or whatever it might be, or actually like sign up for your email list. And Gleam will help you to actually grow your audience and also get traffic to your website, which again will help you in the eyes of Google, where they're seeing that all these people are coming to your website. There was a study conducted by Moz which suggests that any kind of traffic, whether it comes from Google or if it comes from your email or social, will give signals to Google that you are getting visitors. And there's two important metrics that come to getting ranked on Google, I think, at least anyway. One of those is obviously volume, but two is the time on site, how long someone's taking on your website, and maybe how many pages they're going deep as well. So are they reading 1 page, 2 pages, 3 pages, are they looking around? Because Google will actually take note of this and reward you if they're spending more time on your website. So some tricks to get people to spend more time on your website obviously is to have some video content on there, because people love video and they'll sit there on your website and watch the video. Make sure you have internal linking, so you're actually sending people from one maybe piece of content to another related piece of content. So that will definitely help you as well. And like I said, make sure that you have stuff running from, say, like Facebook ads, and you're sending people from your Facebook ads to content, or you've got a nice email list and you're sending out EDMs and getting people to click on your EDM and go and land on your website. This will definitely help you in the long run, as Google will get these signals that say people are actually coming to your website and they're spending a lot of time on there and looking around and actually engaging with stuff on there, which will definitely help you get ranked a lot faster. So my next tip is build links and you'll build authority. One of the biggest trust signals to Google is building a backlink, because it means that people value your content and see you as an authority in the space. Now, depending on where you get a backlink from, whether that might be from a .edu or .gov, it's going to depend on how much, let's say, equity you get from that authority that's being passed to your website. But no matter where it's coming from, it's actually a vote of confidence, and Google can pick up on this. And it's almost like a trust signal where they go, okay, cool, someone's actually linked to this, so it means it must be good or must be somewhat valid in this space, or maybe they're an authority in this space. So all backlinks aren't created equal. So if you're getting backlinks from, say, like a .edu or a .gov, obviously this is going to have way more authority passed to your website. But at the beginning, you shouldn't be too fussy. Just take what you can get. Just make sure it's not spammy. Any backlinks will do at the beginning. Just don't get spam. That's probably the one big thing I'll mention. Make sure they're not rubbish. People get stuck on where or how to build backlinks. And what a lot of SEOs won't tell you is that we actually buy them. So we actually buy a lot of backlinks at the beginning to at least get started. Yes, we will accumulate natural backlinks as we go along, but if we want to get that first burst of nice, sweet link juice, we go and buy it from somewhere. So a lot of SEOs won't tell you this secret, but there is ways that you can actually buy guest posts and buy links. And if you don't know what you're doing, I would say don't go off and buy backlinks now. What we'll do is we'll actually do a whole video on where to buy the best backlinks to get you started, where to buy the best guest posts, and show you how to start building that up over time. Because again, you don't want to get too aggressive and buy like 1,000 backlinks. It's going to cost you a fortune anyway, because Google will get triggered and they'll be like, why is this website that just launched yesterday getting all these backlinks and they haven't even got any traffic? So like I said, be realistic. I will do a video showing you where to buy the best backlinks later on in the next couple of weeks. So that's pretty much it. So whether the sandbox exists or not, all the things I mentioned before will actually help you to start getting traffic and also help you start getting ranked on Google. So let's go through these again. So the first one is build your email list or audience. So this could be an email or social media platform. 2 is choose the right keywords, so your most attainable keywords that you will have the best chance of ranking for. So don't try and rank for something that's crazy and has a keyword difficulty score of 90. Try and keep between 30 and 40 and make sure that these are relevant to your website and what you might be selling or writing about. So number 3 is don't get too clever or worse, hacky. Just play within the rules, do as you're told. Give Google what it wants, and that will definitely help you start to get some traction. And like I said, don't get too aggressive and try and buy all these spammy backlinks, because you're just going to wake up Google and they're going to come over and step on your website. So tip number 4, like I mentioned, is write awesome utility content. So utility content is something in the realms of when someone reads it, they should be able to finish what they're reading and then go off and actually execute on what they've just internalized. So if you're writing content, keep that in mind, that what you want to do is actually solve someone's problem so that when they finish reading your content, they could actually go off and do whatever it is that you've written about. And for goodness sake, don't write boring product descriptions. All that's going to do is make your visitor want to stick their head in the oven. So just avoid that at all costs. Don't be boring. Please do something that's interesting when you're writing your product description. Stand out from the crowd and you'll be rewarded, I promise you. Number 5, make sure that your website or theme loads really fast, because if you can do this, Google will reward you handsomely. 6 is run competitions. This is one of the best ways to get loads of traffic to your website and also build up your social profiles and build up your email list. Just make sure that the prize that you're offering is actually really cool and will get people excited. There's no point running, a competition to win an old Nike sneaker that's been chewed by your dog, because no one's going to give a crap and it's just going to waste time, money, and it's not going to help you at all. Number 7, one of the most important ones, build backlinks. So like I said, in a couple of weeks, I will show you how to actually go and buy backlinks the right way so you're not going to get stepped on by Google. So, okay, I just wanted to give you a few more bonus tips just to help you get your website ranked a lot faster. So one of the big ones is make sure that you set up Google Search Console and that you actually index your website as quickly as possible. Make sure you have a sitemap, and set up your robot.txt, make sure everything's set up correctly, and just do that and you will already be way ahead of the game. Another tip I've got for you is actually to buy an existing Shopify store or a website. So you can go into something like Shopify Exchange and actually buy a website that's already been built and already has traffic coming to it. This is the best way, or one of the best ways, to cut down the time it takes to get a whole bunch of traffic onto your website and get you ranked on Google. The other one is to find just drop domains. So a domain that's just been dropped that might have a good amount of domain authority and some awesome backlinks. Just make sure that the backlinks aren't spammy. You can check this in your SEMrush or Ahrefs or any product that you're using that you prefer to do these kind of checks in. Just make sure there's no spammy links on it. Try and find one that's just been dropped that's kind of fresh and, like I said, has a decent amount of domain authority. You can pretty much tell using something like Ahrefs or SEMrush if it's a spammy domain. So just do your due diligence and actually look into that first. But this is another good way of actually cutting down the time it takes to get your website ranked on Google. So that is it for today's video. Thanks so much for sticking around. Hopefully you got something out of it. The Google Sandbox is definitely a conundrum, but regardless of whether it exists or not, the things we mentioned today will definitely help you get ranked a lot faster than if you don't implement them. So I recommend going in and trying these out. And if something works for you, please make sure to add it in the comments below so it'll help out everybody else. Now, again, just want to ask you, if you enjoyed the content today, please hit that subscribe button, pulverize that like button into the dirt, and also hit that little bell notification so the next time we drop this video just like this, you'll be the first to know. So thanks again, and I will see you next time.